I joined SPMP during a particularly challenging period. We started commissioning the world's largest antimony smelter outside of China just before COVID-19 hit and disrupted global logistics. Now, on top of that, we faced delays from the Suez Canal blockage, storms in Durban affecting our South African supply routes, and sanctions that impacted feedstock supply chains. Now, despite these headwinds, we achieved several key milestones. We produced our first commercial grade antimony metal and gold doré in the second half of 2019. We then went on to complete a full debottlenecking program, culminating in the successful testing of the entire flow sheet at nameplate capacity at the end of 22. Under my leadership, the operation transitioned from startup instability to steady state operation, optimizing recoveries, stabilizing reagent consumption, and aligning our emissions with EU standards. What I'm most proud of is that we proved a complex multi-metal smelter can be brought online, even amid global disruption, without compromising safety, environmental performance, or operational integrity. So that success is a direct reflection of the skill and dedication of the team that we had at SPMP.
When we talk about critical minerals like antimony, vertical integration isn't just a business model. It's becoming a strategic necessity, and specifically for the Western markets. If you think about it, about 80% of the world's refined antimony comes out of China at the moment. And that concentration brings major geopolitical risk. We've already seen China introducing export controls, and the trend is clear. Western nations desperately need to control more of their own supply chains. The alternative is to be beholden to China forever regarding their supply chains as it relates to antimony, for example. Furthermore, the processing of antimony creates real local economic value. It means more than just jobs. It also enables the advancement of manufacturing and IP skills development. Governments are increasingly backing integrated projects. If you look at the US, they've got the Inflation Reduction Act or the Australia's Critical Minerals Strategy. Funding, incentives, and partnerships tend to deliver on downstream processing. Vertical integration gives you another very important thing, and that is visibility. You know where your material is coming from. Ethical sourcing is now the buzzword, and especially in Europe and North America, where regulators and investors are continuously pressing for more ethical sourcing along the value chain. So I guess the message is very clear. In this day and age of critical minerals, vertical integration is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity. We have to de-risk supply chains, meet ESG expectations, and build long-term strategic value. For example, I cannot see, or I'll be very surprised, if any Western world in this day and age will allow a newly constructed antimony mine, for example, to export concentrates to China to be refined, given what is happening at the moment. So this is exactly what we want to do at Trigg, is developing a fully integrated downstream processing facility, hopefully in Utah, and be involved in the whole value chain to supply not only the US but also the rest of the world with clean sourced antimony.
So antimony is unusual because it's not a true base metal like copper, nickel, or cobalt. It's classified as a metalloid, meaning that its physical and chemical properties fall somewhere between a metal and a non-metal. Its volatility changes with oxidation state, it forms low melting mats, it often carries nuisance elements such as arsenic and lead. As a result, a single-step flash furnace is not sufficient. Antimony typically requires a two-step process. First, oxidative roasting to convert sulfides and stabilize impurities, followed by a reductive smelting to recover the metal. So this process demands precise control, not only to optimize recovery, but also to meet strict environmental limits on emissions and solid waste. The upside is a well-designed circuit can also co-recover gold and silver credits, enhancing overall project economics. So SPMP was the first large-scale antimony smelter built outside of China for the last several decades. And unlike many legacy operations, It had to be designed to meet European emissions and waste handling standards from day one. That meant engineering solutions upfront, such as multi-stage off-gas treatment, closed-loop water systems, and safe and compliant solid waste handling. The key takeaway for me was clear: zero emissions can't be an afterthought. They need to be designed into the process from the very beginning. With Trigg, we're applying those lessons proactively. Achieving net zero is a systems level challenge. By aligning key engineering decisions early, we're building a supply chain that's not only low emission, but also technically robust and investment ready. That's the approach we're taking with Trigg's antimony development. Although antimony is produced in relatively small volumes, it is increasingly vital to clean energy technologies. It is used as a flame retardant in polymers, used across electrical vehicles and energy infrastructure, as a doping agent in semiconductors, and as a refining agent in solar panel glass. This also plays a role in emerging liquid metal battery systems designed for long-term grid storage. So as energy systems become more electrified and decentralized, demand for antimony is expected to grow substantially.
In this regard, probably Trigg is well positioned as one of the very few Western developers that have the geology, the permitting runway, and the technical team on board ready to fill that gap. By using our collective experience in the value chain that specifically David and myself bring to the team, we are planning to integrate mining and clean antimony smelting into the United States. The ultimate aim is to supply the various markets in the US and others with a sovereign, environmentally friendly antimony stream exactly when they need it most to secure their supply chains during this pivotal period of energy transition and geopolitical risk in the world.